So I decided to make a character summary based off of somebody that a lot of people tend to not know much about, aka Fire Lord Ozai, and his timeline, because a lot of people don't really know much about Ozai, other than the fact that he burnt aside Zuko's face and couldn't stand the fact that his personality wasn't exactly like his.
Nigga, did I just catch you having fun?
Oh, and also that he was basically manipulating and toying with his daughter till he literally couldn't use her anymore, and that his disapproval would simply break her and send her over the edge.
You're broken. I don't want to play with you anymore.
Oh, and also that he finessed his older brother out of the throne after finding out that his nephew died. Oh, and also drove his wife to abusive insanity multiple times, to the point where she wanted to forget everything she'd done in her previous life, including her own children, just to get away from him. But I'm going to cover everything that he did since birth. So Fire Lord Ozai was born in 55 AG, aka after genocide, aka the Airbender genocide. So if some of y'all do like a little bit of some quick math, the 100-Year War, he was born in 55 AG, so basically he was 45 years old when he fought Aang. But even according to Iroh, he even stated that Ozai, he had a very difficult problem in regards to his temperament, even as a child. And as Ozai grew up, he became more impatient, stubborn, and very ambitious. And usually that's not for the good reasons, causing Ozai and Iroh's relationship to be like, oh.
What's wrong with him? Oh, he's pissed.
So Iroh distanced himself from him. And a lot of people played off his temperament or temper tantrums as just him being an emotional youth. But his older brother Iroh and his father, Fire Lord Azulon, already knew what he was on.
You're a problem. You're a real problem.
So with Fire Lord Azulon peeping more red flags than a Fire Nation theme park, he immediately starts to favor Iroh way more than Ozai because, because he knew that nigga Ozai had some screw loose. Because as he got older, he became more impatient and more stubborn. And as Ozai got older, he became more ruthless and also ambitious in regards to stuff like school and his other endeavors. But with Ozai being extremely competitive and very ambitious in school, that impressed Iroh. But that was very short-lived because he realized that Ozai wasn't ambitious and highly competitive at school in order to seek knowledge and greater learning. Nope, the only reason he did it was just so he can beat the people. And he had a lack of empathy towards the other people, resulting in him having a pure brutal ambition, which made Iroh say, oh, what the hell? And meanwhile, Ozai is in school like,
I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better. I am who and what I am because you need me.
And I want people to understand, unlike his father, his grandfather, and his brother, Ozai was never a general. He was never a military officer. And that's because Fire Lord Azulon looked at him and was like, yeah, something's wrong with him. He's impatient and stubborn and so on. And even Iroh was also like, bro, something's wrong with him. Like, do y'all not know how terrifying that is? That Fire Lord Azulon, who most likely took part in the Air Nomad genocide, looked at Ozai and said, I don't think he should be in charge of anything. Because Ozai is like that kid that collects roadkill down the street and brings it home to their parents. And then a certain incident happens into the future. And then the parents are like, oh, I never knew. Meanwhile, the kid is in the basement surrounded by roadkill doing this.
Don't worry about no fuck nigga cheat, and I'm SINGLE.
So that made Azulon pick Iroh to be a general and favor his decision making. And plus, Iroh had an heir, which made Ozai feel some type of way. So with everything set in full motion and Azulon primarily focused on General Iroh, it led to Fire Lord Ozai, of course, being restless, going around learning different things, aka political schemes and martial arts as well. And with us knowing his personality, it probably wasn't, how you say, pleasant.
My name, nigga. My mama didn't name me. What's my name, nigga? What's my name?
So eventually, as some time go on, and eventually Ozai becomes old enough to have kids, aka married age where he should have kids and keep the Fire Nation bloodline strong. Well, Fire Nation royal bloodline strong. And Ozai and Fire Lord Azulon thought, what is the strongest possible firebender that we could think of to keep our bloodline strong? So those two, along with the Fire Sages, was like, Avatar Roku had a granddaughter. Let's snatch her up. And thus how we met Ursa, Fire Lord Zulon made the introductions. She had no choice but to agree to Ozai's proposal. The whole marriage situation is probably one of the craziest things because he didn't even ask if Ursa even had a life before. He just walked in and said, "You're going to marry me," and that's it. And she low-key didn't have a choice but to agree. And when they was about to leave, her boyfriend at the time stopped the cart where her and Ozai was about to leave. And Ozai's soldiers was literally about to murk old boy on sight for stopping the royal carriage. So she literally had to sweet talk Ozai, the person that she just met, by the way, to save the life of somebody that she truly loved, aka her boyfriend. And she was like, "Let me talk to him, my love, blah, blah, blah." And Ozai was like, "Ah, sure." And then she managed to convince him to leave, and then whoop, off they go with Ozai. Like, genuinely, you know how crazy that is? Imagine being in a happily relationship with somebody, and somebody just comes in with government people and just say, "You're not in a relationship with this person no more. They're mine." You'd be like, what? When Ozai do something completely wild, I'm just simply going to play this. So when Ozai married Ursa at the age of 30, some things happened as soon as the wedding commenced and ended. He goes on to tell her that her duties as his wife now is that she should forget everything in regards to her past, everybody that she knew back then, including the boyfriend that she had way far in the past. She said, "You are only devoted to me, your nation, and that's it." And you can even see it here. "You belong to the royal family now, and me." And cue evil laugh. And then bro goes on to kiss her, knowing that she can't act out or cry while they're out in public like this. Oh yeah, and then they go on to have 2 children, Zuko and Azula. And the thing is, they wasn't even sure Zuko was going to be a firebender. And just a possibility of that happening. The prince not having a firebending son, he genuinely was going to throw away Zuko if it wasn't for Urza and the fire sage just saying like, "Yo, please wait, nigga, wait. He could do it later." So after the whole little Zuko situation, Ozai, Urza, Zuko, and Azula, they all tried to be a happy family. They will constantly take trips to Amber Island, which a lot of y'all may know since y'all watched the series. But y'all might not know that Zuko once tried to save a turtle crab and ended up getting pulled into the sea, and it was Ozai who jumped in to save him and then brought Zuko back into Ursa's care.
You are a bad guy, but this does not mean you're a bad guy.
But that little piece didn't happen for long until Azula started developing her firebending at an early age. And it comes to turn out she's a freaking prodigy at it. And Ozai was much joyed. But Urza was concerned with how destructive her abilities could possibly become, and worried for Azula. Meanwhile, Ozai is looking at her potential like,
"Use your aggressive feelings. Let the hate flow through you."
And so Ozai continued to create Azula in his image via cruelty and perfectionism, and promoted her bad behavior. So as Ozai took a liking to Azula being a prodigy firebender, he immediately took her under his wing, and it didn't take long for her to excel in what her father wanted her to become.
Let the hate flow through you.
And so as time goes on, Ozai become, more aware. Because Ozai is a lot of things, but stupid isn't one of them. He realizes that his wife Ursa still missed her past life. So what do Ozai do when he realizes that his wife is that distraught about her past? Does he comfort her or hear her feelings out? Nope, he hires her most trusted servant to intercept the messages that she used to send back home. And those messages was to her old lover. But peep this, the servant was reading the letters and she was like, "Oh shit, I gotta show this to Ozai." And it's very clear that Ozai didn't like what he read. And for those of y'all that read the comics, y'all know what happens next. Prince Ozai.
You are not the father.
Since Avatar is still, covered by Nick, or they know that they have a younger audience, they didn't show what really happened after this, but it's very heavily implied that he treated Ursa in a way.
Slap me around and call me Susan.
I warned you, Susan.
But instead they went with this route where they was arguing. And to summarize it, Ursa was making claims saying that Zuko wasn't Ozai's son. And with Ozai literally being mentally unstable, completely outraged. Because Ursa was basically saying that Zuko reminds her so much of her past boyfriend because of how kind her past boyfriend was and how kind Zuko is. Because we gotta remember, Zuko got a gentle heart. But Ozai confronts her and say, "Why are you lying?" And then she goes on to say, "I just want to hurt you in some way, shape, or form because I knew you was intercepting my letters." And she was wishing that her old boyfriend was Zuko's actual father. So Ozai,
You are the father.
Ozai knew it was his son all along because he always had Ursa followed. Oh yeah, and she had spies around her watching her every movement for literally months before they was even married. So he knows for a fact that Zuko is his kid. Oh, and on top of that, Ozai sent the Yuyan archers after old boy. So really think about this situation if you're the other guy. You're chilling with the love of your life, and then a random government official just come up, take your girlfriend from you, and says, nah, she's marrying me, bruh. And then goes off, gets married with her, and then have kids with her, and then sends archers after you to literally kill you. Like, that is a horrible life. And to be honest, Ozai was already treating Zuko poorly already. But now, after this situation, oh, it's ramped up to 11 now. And I hate to say it, Zuko was getting the worst of it. Along with Ursa, because Ozai was cranked up to 11 now. There's a reason most of Ursa's pictures, she looked miserable. And well, Zuko...
Nigga, did I just catch you having fun?
So as some months go by, Ozai and the family is sitting at the dinner table, and Azula goes on to brag saying that she showed up her firebending teacher. And then she goes on to dog him and say that he don't know what he's doing. And of course, Ozai, he sided with Azula and said, you know what? You're right, that firebending teacher was wrong. I'm gonna send him off to the Fire Nation colonies. But young Zuko tried to speak out and, come to the defense of that firebending teacher and say that Azula was in the wrong. And that pissed Ozai off, and he told Zuko, who are you to be judging her firebending when she's already on the advanced courses and her firebending is better than yours? And then Ozai goes on to say this iconic line.
My father says she was born lucky. He says I was lucky to be born.
Granted, Ozai was a little bit more explicit. I just summarized it a little bit, but basically he was like, yo, if it wasn't for your mother and the fire sages, I would have threw you over the palace walls because I thought you was a non-bending disgrace. So after Ozai got done dogging on Zuko, he get a message from a servant that his Yuyan archer had just came back. And comes to find out that Urza's ex-boyfriend has the type of scats and type of running ability as Aang, because the Yuyan archer failed to capture him because old dude went into the Forgetful Valley. I mean, it's not like there's anything absolutely terrifying in the Forgetful Valley. But the Yuyan archer told Ozai, yo, I think that guy died because he entered that valley that was extremely dangerous. And of course that wasn't good enough for Ozai, so he was like, yo, I wanted him dead. So you're no longer a Yuyan archer. Get out my face. Because it doesn't stop there, because I continue to say that Ozai was treating Zuko harsh. And from his own words, like that of a treacherous dog. And every time Ozai would be harsh to him or wound him, he would do it out of fulfillment of his mother's wish. And mind you, this is all before he's Fire Lord. And people still think that he's worth making a redeemable character. No! Like, he's doing all this stuff of his free will and happiness. So continue on with Ozai as time goes by. It is officially 94 AG, where General Iroh is in the middle of his siege of Ba Sing Se, until...
Leaves from the vine, falling so slow in the foam. Little soldier.
And that causes General Iroh's siege on Ba Sing Se to stop. But Ozai, on the other hand, what does he do when he hears that his brother is in deep depression and distraught after losing his one and only son, who is also his nephew, mind you? Does he A, console his brother during this hard time? Or B, does he spend time with his family consoling the loss of a dear family member? So Ozai decided to not do A or B and approach Fire Lord Zulon. And mind you, Fire Lord Zulon lost a grandson. But Ozai is like, I have a kid, he doesn't, so I'm up next. So there Fire Lord Zulon, in disbelief and of course rightfully angry, is furious that Ozai would even ask to be up next for the throne right after Iroh just lost his son. And Zulon lost his grandchild, aka his first grandchild. Like, do y'all not realize how screwed up you have to be to make Fire Lord Zulon? Like I said before, Fire Lord Zulon probably also took part in the Air Nomad genocide. And even he is looking at Ozai like, yo, what is wrong with you? And Fire Lord Zulon thought a good punishment for Ozai was for him to lose his firstborn son, just like Iroh, just so he would know how Iroh feels. I repeat, Fire Lord Zulon thought a good punishment for Ozai was for him to kill Zuko, whom he treats like this on a daily basis.
Did I just catch you having fun?
So now that y'all are kind of caught up, y'all realize why Zuko's mother did what she did. Because Ozai officially got the green light to kill Zuko off, the same kid that Urza said reminds her the most about her ex-boyfriend, aka ex-lover. But you know Ozai had to keep it cool because as soon as he left that chamber, he was going to, And if it wasn't for Azula and Urza, that would probably be the last noise that Zuko probably hears at night. Coming down the halls, Ozai just gladly just cheesing, ready to just end him. And you're probably wondering, what do you mean Azula? Yeah, Azula was eavesdropping the whole time on Fire Lord Azulon and Ozai's conversation. Then she thought it'd be fun to mess with Zuko. And mind you, woke Zuko up out of his sleep, and she recited every word to a T.
Savage, but when I'm on that molly, I feel savage.
And that's when Urza found out and snatched Azula up. And now it's up to Urza to save Zuko. Okay, let's clarify some things in regards to Fire Lord Azulon because some of y'all are kind of, missing the plot. Fire Lord Azulon is still evil. Like, no, genuinely, he is still evil. There's no kindness to him. He is just as evil, if not more evil, than Fire Lord Sozin. It's just that Ozai is such a psychopath that it makes it seem like Azulon ain't that bad. You can go to multiple websites, multiple sources, and multiple books, and they will all say that Fire Lord Azulon was still a very frightening man, just like his father. He wasn't different from his father, more kind, or was following tradition. No, he was just, just as evil. Also, I forgot to mention that they retconned when he was born multiple times because they had Fire Lord Sozin written like he lived like almost as long as freaking Kyoshi. So they had to change when he was actually born. Oh yeah, and by the way, Azulon is the one that Ozai got his obsession with perfection from. Iroh is the only good one. And the reason that I keep saying that Fire Lord Azulon took part in the Air Nomad genocide, because Fire Lord Azulon was the Fire Lord for 75 years straight. And during that reign, they were still conquering different lands and taking out different people and still hunting down air nomads. In case y'all forgot, a nomad is somebody that travels a lot. Why do you think Aang loves to travel so much? Air nomads typically travel. The air nomads are literally the only nation where they're scattered across the 4 points of the maps. And they are constantly on the move. So you expect us to believe that all of the air nomads just so happen to all be at these temples. And they was easily wiped out within a year and not scattered all over the place, probably in hiding. And you expect us to believe that Fire Lord Azulon in 75 years as Fire Lord didn't try to hunt down air nomads. Come on now. But this whole thing isn't about Azulon, it's about his psychotic son Ozai, who has literal pure joy in knowing that he has the green light in killing Zuko, his own son. But with Urza forcing Azula to tell her what she heard from Fire Lord Azulon and Ozai, so it was up to Urza alone to step in front of Ozai before he kills Zuko. So she had to do the interception of a lifetime. Because y'all don't know how much of a big deal this is. Because usually nobody stops Ozai from getting what he wants. And he really wants Zuko dead. But Urza was able to somehow negotiate, which resulted in sparing Zuko, but she has to poison Fire Lord Azulon, and immediately she will be banished right afterwards, aka causing her to never be close or ever see Zuko ever again. Now to make Zuko think that she was dead was Ozai's little cherry on top, so Zuko would never go looking for her and able to hurt both of them easily. I know y'all remember that scene when Zuko asked Ozai, "Where is my mother?" And Ozai didn't say a word. Y'all know that he was mad because he didn't get a chance to kill Zuko like he wanted. So now that Ozai is about to be Fire Lord after making that deal with Urza, in order to save Zuko's life, he is about to get what he always wanted and what his ruthless and savage ambitions always wanted to lead him to.
I do have the power. I have all the power in the world.
So Urza came up with a powerful, odorless, and flavorless concoction in order to give to Fire Lord Azulon that would kill him. So in other words, for Ozai to get the throne and for Zuko to be safe, Urza would simply have to just poison him. And of course, Fire Lord Azulon didn't see it coming because, he was obsessed with perfection. And of course, he ruled with fear and order and wouldn't think someone would dare try to take him out like that. So now Ozai got everything that he wanted. Nothing can stand in his way.
Wish. You are now succeeded by your second son.
Hail Fire Lord Ozai!
So he became Fire Lord in 95 AG. So his reign was 5 years. So with Ozai being the Fire Lord now, and his wife is kicked out, aka banished, and he has the entire Fire Nation under his control. Oh, and side note, Urza did want to take Azula and Zuko with her, but Ozai said, if you do that, I will hunt you down, and then kicked her out. Also because he was worried that she might end up poisoning him too. But very early in his rule as Fire Lord, any of his advisors, or matter of fact, any Fire Nation citizen that even questions his authority, they was either one of three things: exiled, imprisoned, or just straight killed on sight. And he wanted complete and total loyalty. Oh, and by the way, how can I forget? He didn't take too kindly to children being critics as well. If children spoke out of place, they would get punished alongside their parents, aka Ezio style.
You may take our lives this day, but we will have yours in return, I swear!
So very early on, Ozai was turned up to the max. Nobody could literally tell him nothing or even speak out. So back to Ozai and the Fire Nation being under his rule. He was doing everything in his power to strengthening the Fire Nation, including making deals with some pirates in order to rule the seas under the Fire Nation. And also the plan that he supported was building a giant drill in order to go through Ba Sing Se's walls.
Pause.
Oh, that was crazy.
I said, yo, you.
And on top of that, he stripped the Fire Sages of their power over the Fire Nation, because he didn't care about none of that spiritual crap. But also during the time of his reign, Zuko took the brunt of Ozai's wrath. And not long after, Zuko attends his first war meeting. I mean, in all honesty, what could possibly go wrong at this war meeting?
Leave me alone!
So Zuko hears the plans that a general proposed out loud to sacrifice innocent troops on the front lines. And Zuko interrupted and yelled out, "That ain't right!" Causing everybody in the room to go, and y'all kind of know what happens next.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
So after Zuko spoke out of turn and Ozai gave him the literal worst sunburn of all time, literally on the side of his face, Ozai decided to banish him. And he literally told him, go find the avatar that me, your father, and your grandfather couldn't find. And now y'all probably understand that we're kind of caught up. So at this point on, I'm literally going to speed run it a little bit. Because, I mean, we have all seen the Avatar show. So we know what he did during these points in time. I'll just be filling in the blanks here and there. So after Ozai sent Zuko on a wild goose chase where he thought it would be futile and he'd be gone for the rest of his life, that's when he comes to find out that the airbending avatar is just some 12-year-old boy. And his name just so happened to be... Ozai first learned of the avatar's appearance from the Fire Sages.
Word to the Fire Lord immediately. The Avatar has returned.
He learned more information from people snitching to him, like Zhao, who just wanted a promotion, and Ozai decided to give it to him because he knew for a fact that he was Zuko's rival, and bear his chances to capture Aang. Okay, so fast forward, Ozai was truly upset when he found out that it was his own brother, Iroh, who ruined Zhao's plan on killing the Moon Spirit and taking over the Northern Water Tribe, and winning the battle. So Ozai decided to label Iroh and Zuko as traitors. So really think about it for a moment. Wherever Ozai was at, he probably looked up at the night sky, saw it turn blood red, and he was probably happy. Then it turned normal, and then the moon disappeared completely in pure pitch black darkness, and then went right back to normal. And Ozai was like, yo, what gives? Like, you know what? Whoever did that, we are branding them a traitor. Ozai just wanted to take over the War Tribe. He didn't care if he destroyed the moon in the process. He's like, yo, whoever failed this plan, they are labeled traitors. Meanwhile, Ozai wasn't even there to see all this stuff that Aang did, which makes it 10 times funnier because he was like, how can you not get this 12-year-old? And so Ozai decided to take the gloves off and send his most powerful weapon to take out Zuko and Iroh. Because every day, every hour, every second that they breathe even longer is an embarrassment to him. And I'm pretty sure y'all know who his weapon is. And while he sent her off to do her thing because he trusts that she's able to fulfill the job that she was assigned, he decided to focus more on the drill that he has headed to Ba Sing Se. And he also decided to deploy tanks along with the drill. Basically like an insurance policy, just so he can make sure that he conquered Ba Sing Se. Because the last thing Ozai want to seem like is a failure in regards to Ba Sing Se, just like Iroh. And on top of that, he knows that Azula will be there to make sure the plan is a complete success. I mean, what could go wrong? It's not like a 12-year-old kid and his friends could stop a giant drill, tanks, and my daughter who I trained.
How?
But after that incident went down, Azula hit Ozai with a good old-fashioned,
Still to be happy about.
You're up too old.
Job's not finished.
and then after some time go by, like maybe a couple days, maybe a week or two, you get word from your daughter saying that your son that you sent on exile turned his back on the older brother that you was incredibly envious of, and also the son that you burned managed to kill the Avatar. The very same Avatar that your father and your grandfather spent years searching for. And he does it in your name and swears to pledge loyalty to you as the Fire Lord. And mind you, this is the same son that Urza, his wife, cherished so much because Zuko was so much different than Ozai. And hearing this news, Ozai was amazed at Zuko's cutthroat ability, having Ozai thinking maybe it's not too late. Maybe I can mold him into the heir that I want him to be. And it would be so perfect to have Zuko follow in his footsteps, knowing Urza tried to prevent it. So of course, if we fast forward a little bit, we find out that, Zuko tells Ozai that the Earth Kingdom is a very strong nation, and they are very strong people, as long as they got hope and each other, of course. And of course, Ozai said, you might be right about that. Oh well, might as well burn the entire place down to the ground. And he truly believes that that is a logical solution. Like, really think about how insane that is. And of course, he goes over the plans in regards to Day of Black Sun, where he evacuates Capital City and prepare everybody for the invasion. And he goes hides off in his bunker. But what he didn't plan for was, this.
You here?
I'm here to tell the truth.
Telling the truth to...
The Avatar's not dead. He survived.
What?
And
Get out of my sight right now if you know what's good for you. Me, or this defiant breath will be your last.
Ozai is incredibly arrogant, but he also is very short-sighted, which makes it very easy for him to be caught off guard and surprised very easily. They basically have a whole father-son talk, and I can't really show much of it simply just to, avoid copyright. But those of y'all that seen the show and remember that iconic scene, y'all understand why that was such a big deal. Telling Zuko's mother is actually alive, and technically since he did treason against the Fire Lord, Ozai kind of got the green light to do something that he'd been wanting to do for a while now. Now Zuko being able to catch lightning is kind of like, what the F? Like, yo, what's going on? Like, I mean, in all honesty, that's the only way I can really give it to Ozai, that, yo, you have no way to plan for this whatsoever. Like, who knew that he was able to redirect lightning? And then fast forward, when the comet arrives, that's when the big fight happens between him and Aang. And we kind of know how that went.
Lives, focusing their energy through your body.
That's when Aang beats Ozai, takes his bending away, and then throws him in jail. And that's the end of Ozai. Or is it, though?
hello, Zuko here.
And if you like that video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And also let me know what you think the next video should be based off of. Because like I say at the end of all my videos, I read every comment and I make sure that y'all are heard. Because I'm trying to get to 50K by the end of the year, I would love to have your support and hear more about your ideas. I hope you're able to apply these words in your everyday life. And Lily, thanks for watching. Oh, and a reminder, drink water.
Perfection and power are overrated. I think you are very wise to choose happiness and love.